To welcome to another episode of Progress Always, where it's our intent to help our clients, our audience, eliminate stress by prioritizing their health and creating alignment. And I have with me the founder of Earnings Elite, Kristina Walker. And I am so genuinely grateful to have you on today because, as we were talking about before we launched the episode, we got to a place in your journey that usually, in my experience, takes months, if not years, to get to. In terms of, we nailed the fitness thing. We got routine and results relatively quickly compared to the field. And that freed us up to evolve the process, to unpack what it is to live life at your fullest potential. Now that we have the base layer of your physical practice taken care of. So now we can focus on the mental, emotional, and spiritual layers of Kristina and how she wants to experience the world. And I would just, first and foremost, thanks for taking the time today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm absolutely grateful and blessed that I can be with you today and that you asked me to be here because of these great results that you helped me get.
It takes a tribe. You know, Joanna was really instrumental in streamlining things. And it was really cool because as a business consultant, business coach, it's rare that there's the inherent humility and acknowledgement that I also need mentorship and coaching to evolve myself. Right. And so for us to be working together at all says a lot about how you set expectations for the people that you work with. It's like, because I have a hard time working with prospective mentors and whatnot who are not on their own growth journey, and more importantly, hold that growth close to the vest as if it's not happening at all.
Well, it's funny because it did take me a while, just as doing what I did, and especially kind of when I took the journey to become more of a coach than a consultant. And it's because I actually realized that I was helping these people achieve things that maybe one year, maybe 10, 20 years ago, they dreamed of, forgot about, and then we reestablished this within them, right? And it lit the fire under me. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, now I've created this business that I wasn't doing the same thing. And I'm not going to say felt like a hypocrite, but I felt like I had zero personal boundaries.
Okay.
Like I had not established any personal boundaries when it came to myself. I was giving them everything and not doing the same for myself. And that to me really is where you have knocked it out of the park for me, is understanding that I knew there was something wrong. I knew that I wasn't doing what I should be doing. I knew I wasn't achieving the success that I really, really thought I should be at, but I didn't realize that it was personal boundaries. And I knew it was me. I mean, self-aware enough to know that it was me, but setting those personal boundaries, to me, that was like the key.
Yeah. I think that, you know, in the very beginning, getting somebody to ownership is the easy part, right? Let's just identify your
I don't
role.
know about that. I have to tell you, in all my years, I have had so many clients, they will not accept that the business results are because of them personally.
Really?
Oh, so many of them. And then at some point, I had to let them go as a client, specifically because there's nothing you can do at that point. Right. But it is kind of strange that I encountered that.
Yeah, no, because where I was going with that statement, you know, ownership being the easy part, just acknowledging that you have a role to play in the equation, right?
Right.
when you're in a position of leadership or you are intentionally seeking growth beyond where you are currently, the first stop is you.
Right.
Right. And to your point, why, you're not working with those clients anymore. If you can't get past that, well, it's a non-starter.
Right.
Everything else is a castle built on sand. So
Absolutely.
when we get there, where I find the biggest amount of friction is, okay, not creating a line in the sand of differentiation between ownership and fault.
Hmm.
You know,
What do you mean by that?
from the standpoint that, okay, I can accept that I have a role to play in this, and I also there are a lot of variables that are totally within my control, and that is not synonymous with it's all your fault,
Oh, I see.
right?
Agreed.
Because when we intend to take ownership and we end up playing the blame game,
Mm,
right?
that's heavy.
That's very disempowering,
It
and
is.
it's really hard to think your way out of that on your own, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah,
That's a pretty heavy feeling, right?
yeah,
So
mm-hmm.
that to work out of fault.
Mm-hmm.
Your baseline is very low.
Yes, yeah. There's not a lot of momentum to be found there.
No.
Yeah, and at the same time, I feel like it perpetuates the victim mentality, right?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
so
You're
not.
right. I never thought about it really in that way, but
Mm-hmm.
and then there's nowhere to go. Again, if you're playing victim and just like living in that space.
Yeah, yeah. The what's interesting about being stuck in that place is not only have you now taken ownership, now you're also absorbing all of the everything that happens to you, good, bad, and indifferent. But the focus tends to be on the negative things, like what, and you're constantly searching for, why am I in this negative spiral? Why are all these bad things happening to me? Why am I attracting all of this negativity? And I own my role. So now, like, instead of creating boundaries, like you were talking about, and positioning yourself to move out of that state, you're sinking deeper into it.
Right, it's like a living in a tornado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Really, you're bringing more and more destruction.
yeah. Now, hypocrisy is a big word, but
Mhm.
uh, what was the catalyst as you moved into this role of coaching where you realize it just came to your frontal lobe that, ooh, I'm not congruent with this process, this business that I've now created? What was the moment?
Well, honestly, there were a couple of pivotal moments. But one, I was sitting with a client of mine. We were sitting in her booth of her restaurant, and I asked her, "What was your dream for this place?" Because she had an opportunity and she wasn't sure, am I going to sink money into this? Am I going to cut and bail? What am I going to do? I've been here long enough. And so we went back to the dream of it, and she lit up and she started telling me, oh gosh, this and that, and she got so excited. I had never in all of my 10 years with her ever seen this light go on. I thought, wow, this is fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me realize, why am I not having this experience and this kind of fun in my own business? Because I had spent a good 15 years in it, and I'm like, what is my dream? What is my, which, then it opens Pandora's box, but
Mm-hmm.
also it allows you to really explore. And it's taken a long time to explore. But that was one of the biggest catalysts, just sitting in that booth that day, cup of coffee, and just lighting her world on fire. And then she
Mm-hmm.
did it. I mean, she's done it. We worked her through it. It's been fascinating and amazing. And 5 years later, here we are. And I see her restaurant, here and there. I see it on the news, and it's just awesome.
Oh man, that's incredible.
Yes.
And I have to applaud you for at least having the self-awareness to realize, wait a minute, I'm creating this experience, this feeling, this momentum in others, and yet I'm not I'm not filling that cup,
Yes. It's
you
a
know.
it's a disturbing revelation. It is, it's pretty powerful, but it actually took me down for a while. It kinda took me
Really?
down a road, right? Because when I asked myself the question, "Well, what do you want?" I was asking it from the point of view of, "Well, what do I want in this business?" And I
Mhm.
think I put myself in a box, and I couldn't find my way out. And so I had to realize that, well, maybe this isn't the box that I really wanna be in. So,
Mhm.
with the box removed, what do you wanna do? And
Yeah.
then it's not always an easy find.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's dabbling in this, trying that, and just working your way through it, right? It's that age-old problem where people think, "Oh, I'm gonna figure it all out and I'm gonna plan it all out, and we can just sit and talk and hash this out in a session. I'm gonna find my thing. Like I that's
Right.
my passion in life and that's my purpose." And that's just not how it happens. It's
Mhm.
take one step, see where you're at. What feels good? Take a step towards that. And it's a lot. It can be a long journey. It's not for everybody, but it's a
Mhm.
lot longer of a journey than I probably knew I was going to be on, but I was so committed at that point to make sure that I didn't stay stuck there.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to be there anymore. It was at the point where I couldn't do that to myself.
Sure. And there's definitely a large amount of momentum that's created from the realization that I just don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
But it's also been my experience with you that, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a piece of Christina that enjoys that element of experimentation. Like, I'm gonna try this and see where it lands. I'm gonna try that and see where it goes. And it's a lot like, it reminds me from a mentality standpoint of a conversation I had with uh, a Marine and officer candidate school one night. Brian Taylor, this cat from the University of Florida, I'll never forget. We're talking about, hey man, are you just gonna do one tour and get out? Are you gonna make it a career and do 20? What's the plan? Because everybody's having that conversation because it's so chaotic for that 10 weeks. Everything's a question mark, you know. And he gave me the most profound answer that I live life by now, and it was so simple and so profound. He's like, dude, I don't know, I'm just going to do it till it's not fun anymore.
Right.
i'm
What
out,
a great gift.
I'm out, he's still in, you know what I mean?
Isn't
and
that amazing?
it really seems like there's a piece of that that resonates with how you orient your compass.
Right.
True or false?
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. I mean, and to your point, I get very bored very quickly, so I
Mhm.
do love the challenge. I mean, I just love a new challenge, but it has to be a challenge that I'm interested in.
Mhm.
And then if I get to the end of that road too quickly, um, I am more inclined to just realize that where some people will sit on that road for a very long time and just think, well, this is just the road I chose. So I am more inclined to just say, oh, wrong road and move, turn around, move on, which I think was surprising to me of why I sat for 15 years in my own business and didn't like it. It didn't make any sense. So I needed to morph.
Mhm.
Yeah,
How, a very critical piece of our process is that stress assessment, that Berkman. How
that's huge.
impact how impactful and why was it impactful for you at this stage of Christina's life?
Well, and I want to come back to something, but so I'm going to say something and then I'll answer that question. I
Cool.
do want to come back to briefly your process of how we got from physical
Mhm.
improvements and fitness, and how that helped me get to that next level where we did that assessment, because
Mhm.
that piece to me was um huge
Okay.
in getting to the Berkman so quickly. Once we did that, so I've had lots of those tests in my past. In fact, I even believe that I had done that in the past with companies. It was kind of the corporate culture that I grew up in, and we would do these assessments. And as an executive team, we would sit around the table and talk about each other and, that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
it's great for about a week, and then everybody moves on.
Right.
So when you did it, it was, I think, pinpointing some of the things that I knew I was struggling with,
Mhm.
but then you went on to say how we got how we get through it.
Mhm.
And that was the part that I had never felt before, because that was where I was at in life. I knew I needed to overcome some very specific things, and I had no idea what to do. And then when you kind of pinpointed a few things that I knew and a few things that I didn't. And then to understand my behavior of how I react to situations and how I come across to other people, that was really eye opening. It was a little shocking, but then everything came into play. And it was like the world came in and said, aha, now I get it. Now I get why my employees were scared of me at one point, or little old me, right?
Mhm.
But those weird things that you go along year after year and you don't understand, and you think, okay, but you don't realize how limiting they are. And then when it
Yeah.
hits you that, okay, now I've been in my career for 30 years, and why am I not further along? It's got to be those things I don't understand. And you really pinpointed of how we, not only why, but how we're going to get through it.
I think what's really important there is there's the obvious, I shouldn't say obvious, but the stereotypical corporate culture. We're going to utilize this strengths finders assessment thing to make us better at what we do on the job. And our take on, and what's so powerful about the Berkman specifically, is we're able to not limit it to that box that is your professional life, because all of those things
True.
play out everywhere else,
True.
right?
The
And
boundaries.
right, that was huge for you.
That was huge for me. And I really
Mhm.
didn't. And it's funny because I talk about boundaries with people all the time. And yet I didn't realize
Mhm.
how many times I wasn't setting my boundaries, not only with work, but especially at home.
Mhm. I mean, people are most familiar with me and Next Level in the fitness genre, and we'll just like the boundaries, education, awareness, right? Whenever you've been out of sync or dissatisfied with your level of fitness, you know, uh, for you, the catalyst was, oh, I've somehow, some way, in one or in a very critical or in multiple areas of my life, I've lost boundaries,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
so and why we start at that foundation of your physical practice, because it sets you up for literally everything else.
It does. It does. And I realized, and this was the point that I was thinking of, I wanted to make sure that I made to you, was it freed my mind from not obsessing constantly about what wasn't working in my physical health.
Mhm.
I didn't realize how much energy that was taking from me, and really pulling on my spirit. And once I felt like, "Oh, I got this. Now I understand what to do. I've been successful doing it. I've made my mistakes, and when I make them, I have the confidence now. I know what to do. I go back to doing this even if I get off track." And that confidence and being able to put that out of my mind
Mhm.
suddenly frees up your mind to be able to work on everything else.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I don't know of very many people in this world that aren't thinking about their health,
Right.
right? There's so most everybody is thinking about something like I want to live longer, I want to lose weight, I want to
Mhm.
there's something that they usually are obsessing about or or at least talking about daily in the mirror, and it takes so much of your energy away from you and away from everything that you could be doing in life
Mhm.
outside of health, food, fitness.
Right. Mhm. So when we got to the assessment, right? What was the beyond the boundaries part or including the boundaries part? What was the big aha? What did you take from that experience that has allowed us to catapult to where we are now?
Well, it definitely was within the boundaries, but it wasn't boundaries in a traditional sense. We all know we're supposed to take time for ourselves. And yes, that was true. But I was not setting boundaries on, how do I say this? Um, my expectations for my success, I was not giving myself proper boundaries to not beat myself up about what was going on along the way.
Mhm.
So, all of these things I would never tell a client. I would never tell them that they failed at something. We learn. Um, and even though I've had a lot of success in my life, but the overriding story was why am I not where am supposed to be? And why am I not a bigger success? And I would not stop those internal discussions and boundaries about my success, which I thought was really interesting. I never would have thought of that as a boundary.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not like I was constantly going through negative self-talk.
Right.
It was really just I had never set a boundary of, okay, when I start a new project and let's say it works, it doesn't work, what is the boundary there when I can say, "Oh, I've learned something. Let's pivot. Let's do something else or let's morph." It
Mhm.
was how come this is happening again? How come I'm bored again? Like, I never set that boundary to stop that internal dialogue from happening when we get to those points. And that really hit me as a fundamental issue of mine. And it's really freeing when you even realize it. Like, I didn't know I was not setting my own personal boundaries. Now, there were all sorts of boundaries I wasn't setting. So there's a lot of other things going on as well. And then even in my own family, there
Mhm.
was, oh gosh, here was another pivotal day. It was one of those days where you wake up and, everything just seems hard, but you got to get to the end of the finish line so that
Yep.
the next day everything will go right because you
Yes.
just have to get through the crap that needs to be done, the
Mhm.
laundry, the whatever the list is of the day.
Right.
And as the day went on, my husband actually was being really kind and he started doing things that he never would normally do. Like he decided to clean the coffee maker, which we have this amazing coffee maker and it's a very specific process and you have to wait until it tells you it's ready to be cleaned. So he starts
Okay.
doing these things, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I was getting so annoyed because I'm like, "What?" Because he doesn't know, right? He has no
Mhm.
idea. But this one day, he decides he's going to be really helpful. He starts doing things in my laundry room that was making me insane, and I'm like, I was really trying to stop and say, "I'm so happy that you're helping me. Can I show you how to do this so
Yeah.
that I don't get angry at you and you never help me again?"
Right.
But finally, when that coffee machine thing happened, I mean, and my husband and I communicate really well, and so we never yell at each other. We don't get to that point, and I just wanted to be so angry, and at the same time, I knew I was angry at myself, but I didn't know why I was so angry at myself. So I
Mhm.
told him, I said, "Please, let's come back to this. I wanna show you how it's done at a different point, and now I need to walk away, and I need to take myself out of everybody's vicinity. And I went and I screamed in a pillow and I was bawling for about a half an hour. And I'm like, what is your problem?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's being so nice, he's being so helpful, and you're just getting more and more irritated. And then it hit me. I'm like, you have created this situation in your household that you do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never taught anybody along the way what to do. So now you're getting exhausted. And that's why I was so exhausted, because I had to do all of these things all by myself that I had never taught anybody else how to do.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have created this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that, it felt like, then it was like this melt, right? I'm like, I
Yeah.
can fix this. I can teach people how
Yeah.
to do these things, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not stuck with this life of me having to do everything. Because and it started out so innocently, I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to help out. Oh, now you're taking over more of the financial role when we had a child,
Mm-hmm.
so I could have more time with the child. Okay, then I'm gonna clean the coffee maker or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right?
Right.
But I also took away their power to be able to help me,
Mm-hmm.
which was also frustrating on their end.
Oh, I'm gonna come back to that, the boundaries with yourself really quick, but I
Yeah.
really want to touch on the breakthrough, because what's funny and not funny is we don't give these moments enough credit, because let's call it what it is. We're talking about a fucking coffee maker.
Right.
You know what I mean? That
Stupidest thing in the whole world.
and yeah. So at a surface level, it's like how that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like
Whatever.
the breakthrough that you just had should be on the back end of some monumental achievement, or
Right.
some obstacle overcome, or proving to yourself that you can do something
I
incredible.
just won a race that I never thought I could take, or you know what I
All
mean, take
all
on
all
because of
all,
something.
all you did was reframe the interaction amidst some friction, and it set all the rest of that stuff loose,
It really did.
right?
It
And
was like this moment of time that just it was explosive internally. Let's put it
mhm.
that way.
Now take somebody who's less aware, and they have that moment. They choose a different behavior, and they have that breakdown, that culminates in the breakthrough. And because they're not in tune with themselves, they dismiss that entire experience
Oh, that's sad.
and reset and continue to replay that same tape
Mhm.
over and over and over again.
Which I'm sure I've done,
Oh, 100%. We all
right?
have.
I'm sure I had that revelation at some point and didn't do anything with it. And
Hmm.
yeah, and it's sad to think that you could just continue playing that record.
And that is ultimately, and I've explained, we you and I have had this high frequency conversation multiple times now, putting that gap between that trigger and your usual behavior that's big enough so that you can choose something different.
And it has to be big enough. I think that's the key,
Hmm.
right? And the acknowledgement of, "Oh my god, what have I been doing? And where is this coming from? And now guess what? I get to fix it. Like, I can
Hmm.
change, like, I have the power to change this right now, and I will never go back there." And
Hmm.
I've caught myself since then,
Sure.
on stupid things like toast.
Hmm.
And my husband is rushing around or whatever, and I could put my morning aside and say, "Oh, honey, can I make some toast for you before you go?" And then I'm like, "No, I got my own shit to do." You know what I mean? Like, it's as simple as that. Like, if I had nothing to do,
Hmm.
then that's just kindness, and it's not about not being kind, because we
Hmm.
always love to, at our house anyways, we always to love to lead with kindness,
Hmm.
but it's about, well, why would I put myself out and get myself stressed so I can make his day better?
Hmm.
that doesn't make any sense. And so I've stopped myself from doing those things, right?
Mhm.
And like even little tiny teeny chores where I'm like, yeah, he can put away his own shirts. I don't need to put his underwear back in his drawer. Right? I'm just gonna
Mhm.
set it there like I do everybody else's in the household. They have to put
Mhm.
away their own stuff. Why I don't need to be doing that for
Yeah,
everybody. It's kind of
sure.
weird though to go through
Mhm.
that and realize like those little tiny things really
Mhm.
are coming from a fundamental boundary setting, right?
Yeah,
Issue, a
they
very
add
large
up,
issue.
you know? Yeah, they add up, and all of a sudden, the coffee maker becomes a big fucking deal. You know what I mean?
I mean, I could have seen my face that day. I mean, I'm sure my husband was like, "What in the hell just"
I don't understand what's
'cause
happening
I'm
here.
like,
I thought I was helping.
"What?" And I'm sure every husband's probably going, "Oh, yeah, I've seen that." Right?
Well, the other side of that coin is husband 101. If there's something that you don't want to be doing around the house, just do it once,
Just do it once, wrong.
fuck it up real bad, and you'll never have to do it again, you know?
Well, and you know what was also really helpful is, after I had calmed myself down and all of
Mhm.
that, an hour and a half later,
Mhm.
um, is I went to him and I had a discussion about what was going on with me.
Yeah.
I let him know, I said, "Hey, I need you to understand what's going on with me and what
Mhm.
I just realized about myself."
Yeah.
And so he just listened, and I'm sure inside he's like, "Pff, yeah," but way to say it. But you know what I mean? So that he could understand what was going on and that I wasn't angry at him.
Right.
I really wanted him to understand like all these things that you've been doing today are so wonderful and I'm really appreciative. And I didn't realize I set you up to fail, really. And I didn't
Mhm.
realize I was doing this all along. And I just want you to know what
Yeah.
I realized about myself, and I'm going to work on it.
Right.
So that
You know
he knew too that when I stop making toast or cleaning the coffee maker, that
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It's coming from a place of me setting my boundaries that I just didn't disappear one day and go rogue and go opposite and not be kind. Like it's not
Right.
about not being kind. It's because I don't have the capacity in the moment to
Mhm.
do that thing because I have to take care of myself. And I
Yes.
wanted him to really understand that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, I wanna take this I wanna segue really quick and backtrack a little bit to, we talk about boundaries most often from a standpoint of external influence, right? And not, you know, making yourself a priority and making sure that the kids aren't eating up your day and your husband's not eating up your day and your clients aren't eating up your day. And then all of a sudden you get to do the best you can with what's left, right?
Right.
That is a very common narrative.
Oh,
But
that's a very common whoever is the main caregiver, really.
Mhm. Yeah. And also, speaking of boundaries, what you've also accomplished through this process and over time as you've evolved is putting boundaries on yourself, right?
That is huge.
There's an element of grace that comes with these automatic negative thoughts. I forget who coined that phrase. It's not mine, but it plays here, and we all have them. I actually just posted about it today, and I don't care how enlightened or evolved you become, that shit is real,
Oh,
you
it
know.
is. I still
And
catch myself.
oh yeah,
Always.
and, and still it's like, okay, I recognize that I'm in this feedback loop. One, that you got to have the awareness to know that you're in it first and foremost,
True.
and then it's like, okay, here's the grace that, okay, like that, it being done is out of your control. You can't go back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's the grace, right? Because when you come to a point in your growth journey and you haven't reconciled how natural that shit is, you beat yourself up about it,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like, oh, I'm at this new place in my evolution. I'm Michael 4.0. I shouldn't be thinking this way anymore. It's like, no, 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 no. We just get to accept the fact that those thoughts, those emotions still occur. And when you're in alignment, they no longer take you off center.
Correct. And I have to tell you, I went on that journey a couple of times. One with the physical part right before you and I started working together on the non-physical improvement. And then it happened with probably right before you and I talked the last time, of those things that creep in that you don't realize, that loop that's happening. And then, like you said, I love the word grace, of giving yourself grace to say, this isn't a straight line, and that's okay. And that's just how it's going to be. But because I'm acknowledging this right now, I know that my trajectory is still up.
Yes.
Right?
100. Yes. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's been very cool, because I had a physical thought, where I was like, oh no, I've been eating bad for 2 weeks, and I went on vacation, and oh no, did I lose my muscle tone? And I was doing so good, and now look at me. I think I told you, or I know I told you, because this was a big hang up for me, was that I needed to prove to myself that I could do this long term, right? Before I call it a success, I needed to see that long term. And honestly, that hiccup is what kind of turned things around, because I had that hiccup, and then instead of just beating myself up and then going down, and I don't think sometimes we realize that that's the part that brings us so much further away from where we just were a week or two ago, right? I mean, you're so close, it really doesn't take you off a track, but mentally it could take you down. Well, I might as well just eat that cookie. I might as well just have 10 of them. Like, what's it going to matter? Today's a bad day. Or, you know what I mean? It just kind of stops that. It's not willpower. It just stops that, like, no, you're still good. You're still going up. You just had that, that time, and now you know what to do. What are you going to do? And I think that is like mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the assessment process is not only do we acknowledge these things, like, oh yeah, this is how you show up when you're stressed. This is how you show up at your highest and best. Like, that's great information.
It is.
With
it's great.
Zero application. Right? What the fuck do I do with, like, okay, so what now? And that's where that immediate action plan comes into play. It's like, now that we know this about ourselves, to your point, because you've alluded to it over and over and over again, what am I going to do?
Right.
Not if the triggers and the stress shows up.
What am I going to do now?
What am I going to do when?
And it's because I know this and feel confident with this, of what I have learned. What am I going to do now? And remembering, oh yeah, I've got this. It just frees you from sitting in that pool of, self, whatever it is, self-hate, or whatever your journey is there, sitting in that little spinning moment, that tornado, I like to call it.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're shifting the spiral, where you were spiraling down. Now we get to spiral up.
Yeah. Which is a much slower and calmer place to be.
Yeah. I mean, shit, let's just call it what it is. You're working against gravity there.
Right.
You're digging yourself out of a hole.
Right.
And
much more challenging.
It's a slower process, to create these habits and these behaviors, and move against the mainstream distractions of just normal everyday life and social media and all that kind of good stuff. Like, there's a lot of momentum in that direction that you don't have to create.
That's very true.
It is there for you, and for you to choose to move in a different direction, to live life with intention and be very deliberate, not only with your thoughts, but also your actions. Compared to the field, it's extremely different. And you have to go, in the very beginning, you're changing your circle, you're changing your environment, you're gaining more clarity than you probably ever have about who you are and who you want to become.
Absolutely.
And amidst all of that, there's a lot of change going on.
Oh, a huge amount of change. But it's, and I believe I've equated it this way. It's a, it almost, it takes you, well, I know you're called next level for a reason, but it does. It takes you to this level of, I felt like I knew where I was standing in life, but I would look up and say, I want to be up there.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get there? Because I know I'm supposed to be there. And there's a feeling of, and I don't like the word hope, because
Mm-hmm.
hope really is always going to just stay hope. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be.
It's not
So it
hope
was
is
like
not a
that.
strategy.
Yeah, it just, I hope I get there someday. And it was more than that, but it was that kind of empty feeling of hope
Mm-hmm.
where you feel like you have no control over it.
Yeah.
And then one day after we've started, I think it was only a month into my assessment,
Mm-hmm.
and I started living this new road and changing everything,
Mm-hmm.
that I said I felt like I was suddenly going on an escalator.
Mm-hmm.
And and to me that was huge, because now I'm on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh, that's it? And
Mm-hmm.
it was me the whole time? Like, I knew it was me, but I didn't really
Yeah.
know what.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a ton of change. And I think too that can be, it's like driving a car, right? Your car always wants to kind of go back right straight, no matter how the curves are, right? It's just made that way. And I think our brains and our bodies kind of want to revert to what's comfortable for a
Yes.
while. So
Mm-hmm.
getting through that, like at each turn and saying, it's okay. I want
Yeah.
to take a right. It's okay. I want to take a left. I don't want to go straight right now. And that
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. And acknowledging it's okay. It's okay.
It's so funny, talking about going back to what's comfortable. Everybody, comes into the next level path, or just in their respective journeys in life from a different place, right?
Right.
And there's an element of growth that everybody has to go through to not only get to a place where they're willing to do this work, but
Mm.
also where they're prepared to do this work.
Oh, true.
Some people come in, guns loaded and ready to kick ass and take names, and then others require a little more preparation. We get them to a stage of awareness, like, okay, you recognize that change needs to be made. Now we have to go through a process, and it takes what it takes, depending on where your starting line is, to get you prepared to become consistent. And these are things that I feel like, in the big marketing machine and stuff like that, that just go unacknowledged,
Right.
and create an element of disappointment if we're not talking about it openly along the way. There's a reason that, the scale isn't shifting, because we're still in the prep phase, right?
Right.
There's a reason
Or
there.
maybe it's going up instead of down at
Yeah,
the
there,
beginning on
you know,
purpose, but it
mhm.
doesn't feel good.
There's a reason that your bank account hasn't changed
Right.
yet, because we're still in the prep phase,
Right.
right? We're still where we have to uninstall some programs before we can install the new ones, right? And
Correct.
that is a phase all by itself.
Absolutely, because we're also being shoved in our face at every genre of the quick fix, the pill,
Hmm.
the 2 weeks, that's
Hmm.
our society of
Oh yeah.
we can do this overnight, and we just want our Amazon package same day, and
Hmm.
everything is supposed to happen so quickly, just like the internet, that it's like you have to acknowledge I'm a human,
Hmm.
and things don't happen that quickly. Like you look at nature, and
Hmm.
there's no quick pill that we're going to go from a seed to a flower the next day. It's just not going to happen. And to
Right.
remind ourselves and give back to your word, give ourselves grace that that time
Hmm.
period is going to be what it's going to be. And that's not easy, especially if you haven't gone down that path before, or you're
Yeah.
not open to it, or
Mhm.
you're not prepared to take
Yeah.
that preparation time, it
Mhm.
can be a really long, I mean, it could be 10 years, it could be
Sure.
longer.
Mhm.
It just depends, right? It depends on where
Yeah.
they're at, and
It
so
depends.
that's huge.
That is to me, the most sophisticated, the most honest, uh, the most humbling answer that anyone can give, and I know, because not yes, I'm a coach, but I'm also a client in a lot of other areas of my life, and I want the answer, but the real answer is it depends,
It
you
depends.
know and was talking with a mentor of mine. He was asking me about my goals in business, and we were walking, spelling that out. And he's like, "Well, how long do you think that's going to take?" I was like, "Oh, I think we can get there before the end of the year." He's like, 2 years. And I was like,
You're like, "No!"
"Oh, oh." And then it's like, okay, buckle up, let's get to work,
Right.
and
And
to
you never know, it might take less, but you have to be
yeah,
prepared that
yes,
it might take 2 years, and
hmm
that's okay, right?
yeah. And once you have this awareness, and I feel like this is really what you're speaking to in terms of shortening that feedback loop, is once you have that awareness, you're able to hold yourself to a higher standard than you otherwise would have without it.
Agree, absolutely, like, this has, well, I know for a fact, this personally has shortened the distance to my next, because I don't know how long it would have taken to get there had I not made this really deep change, and to be able to stop myself from continuing these loops that happen, right? So no matter what, no matter how long this takes, it really doesn't matter, because
Mhm,
I'm going on the right path. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I correct myself along the way to not,
mhm,
to not get into that conversation with myself of, why it's not working, or
mhm.
why all of these things I would have done in the past that would have all gotten in the way and made this journey just that much longer.
Yeah,
So, no matter what, that journey is gonna I've just cut my path time significantly.
you bring up such a good point, and I feel like we need to cap this conversation here, and that's, as long as I'm making progress,
Mm,
who cares?
right, who cares?
The really and truly, because again, we don't all start in the same place, and the goalpost is always moving.
It is. And
So,
I think that's the whole thing that helped me acknowledge that, is the goalpost is going to keep moving, and I've always been okay with that,
mhm,
but acknowledging that it's really, as long as I'm moving towards what feels good, at right? What feels good, what feels fun, what brings me joy,
mhm,
then that goalpost for the moment
yeah,
is enough.
right. 1 pound isn't as sexy as 20 pounds. You
Sure.
know, $100 isn't as sexy as 100 grand.
Right.
But are you moving forward?
Right.
Is it better today than it was yesterday? Is it better this year than it was last year?
Right.
Right? Am I closer? Have I shortened the gap,
Yeah.
to use your
Definitely
point?
shorten the gap. Have I
You know?
moved forward and shortened the gap?
Mhm.
Am I moving forward? Regardless
So
of where I am.
mhm. And
Which is
that's
hard because we live on Instagram.
I
And we look at
I
everybody else's success thinking that's supposed to be ours, but it's
I
not.
I just talked about that last week with Coach Dar, the real life EEL versus the real life EAL, and how there's so much incongruence in the universe with regards to social media and what's happening in the real world, you know. So I really, really appreciate you sharing your process, your evolution, and being vulnerable with it all. And I know that our audience is going to find a ton of value in all of that. Where can the next level community find you, support you, and lift you up?
Well, right now, because I am in a transition,
Mhm.
I would say LinkedIn, Kristina Walker, Kristina with a K, Earnings Elite, that would be a great start. And if there's something that resonates with you and you want to contact me, then definitely reach out to me personally at Kristina Walker at cox.net. And again, that's Kristina with a K. That would probably be the best for the moment. And then you'll just get to see where my journey's going.
Let's rock. That's awesome. And I know it's happening, so I'm gonna plug it. I can't wait to flip this and join you on your podcast, soon to be released. I
Yay.
want to I want to help manifest that with you and bring that to the ground out of it, pull it out of the ether and bring it down to ground. So
Absolutely.
I
Thank you.
really, I really appreciate you taking the time today. Shout out to our sponsors and partners for supporting the show. Check them out in the show notes. A lot of cool stuff going on down there. And remember, if you want progress always, you got to do three things: keep your promises, do hard things, and make yourself proud. When you're ready to have that conversation and allow next level into your life to help you elevate, let us know. There's a link in the show notes as well, and we'll make that happen.
Just do it.
I love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Progress always.